Alright, Schlockmeister fans, we're going to watch an 80s movie here with Zach Galligan entitled Waxwork. Let's check it out. Our movie starts with a struggle, and I'm thinking this is like a few decades in the past. So I think that is Zach Galligan's grandfather. Speaking of Zach Galligan, he plays Mark.
Thank you, Jenkins. And your cough. Excuse me. Caffeine stuff.
He comes from a wealthy family.
Yeah.
Here are the babes of the movie.
For a waxwork.
Sarah and China.
Maybe they're like customers.
Deborah Foreman and Michelle Johnson. Mark dated China recently, but he's a little jealous now because she's dating a football player.
You know what they say about bodybuilders, man? This big right here.
Stop saying so.
Oh, the Virgin has spoken.
They get invited to a wax museum.
The old door opening by itself, see?
Welcome to the WAXWORK.
A wrong picture, Tony.
As they explore the wax museum, they find that all of the displays are basically horror and monster themed. And this guy gets close to one of the displays and suddenly he finds himself in the display, like a separate world, where he meets some guy named Jack.
You must run, Jack. As far as you can.
Or is he Jack? I'm not sure. Well, apparently it was a werewolf display, and now he finds himself in the werewolf world.
Hey, boys! Hey, buddy, you belong. Get the hell out of here! Damn it, you're too late. Give me the silver bullet.
Now the guy who got bit is starting to turn as well. China, meanwhile, gets close to a display and then finds herself in another realm also.
Welcome, my dear.
She sits down and has a meal with these creepy people. Still haven't figured quite what they are yet. But we're about to find out. They're vampires, and he finds this guy. Apparently the vampires have been chewing on his leg. Or the rats have. The vampire comes in, takes a chunk off of his leg to eat, and then gets stabbed, but that's not the right place to stab a vampire. Then she puts two knives together to make a cross. Then the vampire ladies come calling. And there's a shit ton of bloodshed here. But alas, she's unable to escape all the vampires and eventually succumbs to this one. David Warner's in charge of this place, and I think this is the that football player boyfriend guy who came looking for China. Apparently, if you die in these other realms, you die for good. Meanwhile, Mark and Sarah left early, and they're starting to become romantic with each other.
Scram, get out of here.
Tony was, and I went by the waxwork this morning. No one was there. I mean, maybe they've been kidnapped, guys, really. Or even worse, boiling wax.
Mark, maybe she had another party to go to.
So Mark calls the cops.
Oh, come on, I don't believe this.
Of course, you can feel free to wander around if you wish.
It would be a pleasure.
The cops find nothing.
Go home. Your friends will probably left a message for you there. Now relax.
But the cop does come back later and peels off a piece of the wax on the image that looked like China. Mark and Sarah do some sleuthing of their own.
This, Mr. Lim.
He finds out that his grandfather was murdered years ago by this guy. But how is he so much the same age? As our cop is trying to leave, he ends up getting sucked into ancient Egypt. Time of the Mummy. Here comes the mummy. He and this woman get tossed inside the tomb for eternity.
What the hell did you kill him for? We still need 2 more. He'd have been perfect.
He killed somebody that came to investigate. They meet with Patrick McNee, who's an expert on whatever.
Sell my soul?
Any student of black magic can do it.
Maybe before the event, never after.
What can we do?
Must burn the waxworks. But most important,
Back to the waxworks they go, and she got pushed in one, he got pushed in another.
it's a fine lunch, Mark.
She meets Marquis de Sade and becomes entranced.
You don't exist. Shit. If I don't believe in you, then you don't exist. Shit, I hope I'm right.
He figures out how to beat them. Meanwhile, Marquis de Sade does his S&M stuff with Sarah. He goes to rescue her. Turns out she doesn't want to be rescued right now. She's under his spell. But he knows they can't hurt him if he doesn't believe in them. Eventually he wins her back, and they return. Well, next thing you know, he releases all of the monsters. And all hell breaks loose. But Patrick McNee has brought some of his people, and there's a battle.
We shall see who is the real man.
A sword fight. Just like as it looks like Mark is going to get bested, Sarah comes to his aid. David Warner takes a few shots and falls right into the wax. The place goes up in flames, the creatures are destroyed, Mark and Sarah escape. As our movie ends, we see a walking severed hand. Setting up Waxwork 2, I guess. Alright. Let's talk about Waxwork. I haven't seen this in a very long time. Yeah, quite a while. The movie, it's a horror movie from 1988, I think. 87, 88. Stars Zach Galligan and Deborah Foreman, and Michelle Johnson's in this. You might remember her from Blame It on Rio. Lovely actress. Anyway, so is Deborah Foreman, by the way. But anyway, who was in Valley Girl. Yeah. And Zach Galligan was in Gremlins. Okay, now we got that passed. We got a bunch of kids in this movie who get an invitation to this Waxworks, which is a wax museum. So they all go there this one night. David Warner is kind of like in charge of the place. And as they kind of wander off separately, they come near an exhibit. They suddenly get sucked into this exhibit. Like it's like a real life thing then. They like go through this dimension doorway thing and they end up in the world where whatever the display was. And it's like a horror waxworks. There's a vampire and a werewolf and a Marquis de Sade and all kinds of things. Now, when they go in these places, if you die inside there, you're gone. You're dead for real. And we don't see you again. Zach Galligan later on, well, Zach Galligan and Deborah Foreman, they leave. They don't get sucked into these things. They leave. But then they find out that their friends are missing, so they can't figure out what's going on. Zach Galligan, who plays Mark, he calls the police. They come to investigate. They don't see anything, find anything. But one of the cops goes back to investigate later on, and then he gets sucked into a thing. It's like a Egyptian mummy thing, and he gets attacked and entombed by the mummy. Eventually, Mark and the girl, Sarah, I think was her name, Deborah Foreman, they meet up with Patrick McNee, who's some sort of expert. Apparently, Mark's grandfather was some sort of, I don't know, wax guy, musician, magician or something. I'm not exactly sure, but apparently David Warner killed Mark's grandfather like, years and years, decades ago. But why does he still look the same? Well, he's obviously, I don't know what exactly he is, but there's something weird going on. McNee tells them that they got to burn the whole place down. Something's going on. There's some sort of evil there. So they go back there. A whole bunch of chaos ensues. There's sword fights and just bloodletting and all kinds of crap going on. Eventually, the two of them, Sarah and Mark, are able to defeat everybody. They escape the place. The place goes up in flames. It burns down. That's pretty much the end of that. And the last end of the movie is a severed hand, kind of walking around, maybe setting up a Waxwork 2, which, by the way, they made. Now, does this actually pick up where Waxwork left off? I don't know. I've never seen Waxwork 2, although I guess I'll probably watch it soon now that I have it. So, but anyway, that's it. That's Waxwork. So, put out by Vastron, which I think put a Blu-ray of this out recently. I'm not sure, but anyway. Kind of a typical 80s movie, 80s horror movie. I'm not a huge fan of this movie. It's okay. It was actually better than I thought, and some of the effects I thought were pretty good. Some of the blood was pretty good. Could have used some nudity, I'll be honest with you there. Michelle Johnson did show everything and blame it on Rio. Deborah Foreman, I think she did like one very brief nude scene in some movie. 3:15 Moment of Truth, I think it was called. I'm not sure. I got to get up on my celebrity nudity. So, but yeah, could have used some. I wish there was some, because there were some pretty actresses in this movie. Also, I can't think of his name. Eric something played this guy named James. He was the guy in they're playing with fire and the Private Lessons with Sylvia Crystal. He's a little grown up here. Don't quite recognize him because he has much longer hair. He kind of has that stoner look in his. But anyway, that's Waxwork again. Again, I like the effects, and I do like the some of the scares in there, like the werewolf. Something about werewolves always creeps me out, and this one has one, and it's a pretty good one. And like I said, vampires, blood. It has everything but nudity, put it that way. So anyway, that's it. Check it out. I have this DVD, Waxwork 2, Lost in Time. Like I said, but I think it's available on Blu-ray too. If there is, I'll leave a link to that one down below. Otherwise, I'll leave a link to this one. Let me know what you think of Waxwork. It was pretty well known back in the day, so I'm guessing a lot of you have seen it. And tell me what your thoughts are. Leave some comments. We'll talk about it. Bye.